In 88 BCE, 80,000 people were killed in a single, highly coordinated day of violence. These victims were targeted simply because they spoke with a Latin accent. This extermination campaign swept across the Roman province of Asia Minor. The epicenter was Ephesus, a premier commercial hub of global trade, and among the world's wealthiest cities. The speed and scale of the killing suggests a high degree of civic organization. This was a synchronized strike by a sophisticated metropolis acting on a specific mandate. The origins of this violence trace back to 133 BCE, when Ephesus was absorbed by Rome. The transition replaced local autonomy with a system of intense foreign administration. Rome utilized the publicani, private for-profit tax collectors, who bid for the right to extract revenue from the province. These syndicates plundered civic treasures and systematically drained the city's capital. Residents were forced into high-interest loans that ensured a cycle of permanent debt. This extraction transformed the city's social hierarchy. Prosperous merchants were reduced to impoverished subjects, watching their local economy collapse into a massive liability held by Roman banks. By the late 80s BCE, the province was stripped of its liquidity and its former stability. This relentless financial pressure left Ephesus primed for a total social collapse. King Mithridates VI of Pontus stepped into this crisis, entering the province with an offer to cancel the crippling debts and restore Greek freedom. Mithridates needed to secure the absolute compliance of the Ephesian elites and remove the network of Roman businessmen and officials who still held the city's financial records. He issued a secret, province-wide order, a synchronized execution of every Roman and Italian resident. This event became known as the Asiatic Vespers. Mithridates utilized the city's economic desperation to force a choice. By carrying out the massacre, the citizens committed an act so severe it precluded any future diplomatic return to the Roman fold. When the signal was given, mob violence erupted across the city streets. Ephesians systematically hunted down the Italian residents who managed the city's records. The intensity of their resentment led to a violation of the ancient world's strictest laws. Mobs entered the Temple of Artemis and dragged Roman citizens directly from the altar where they had sought sanctuary. In classical society, temple asylum was a universal right. Violating it was considered a crime against the gods. Yet even this cultural taboo failed to restrain the crowd. The city prioritized the elimination of the tax collectors over the preservation of their most sacred religious boundaries. By breaking the right of sanctuary, they signaled that their survival now depended entirely on Mithridates' success. For a few months, Ephesus experienced a brief period of independence and the total suspension of Roman tax obligations. This ended when Mithridates' general, Zenobius, arrived. News had already reached the city that he had carried out a brutal mass enslavement on the neighboring island of Chios. Realizing they had merely exchanged one master for a more violent one, the Ephesians revolted. They seized Zenobius and executed him, attempting to reclaim their own agency. Ephesus was no longer acting on ideology, but was now a city frantically attempting to navigate out of a geopolitical trap they had helped build. In 86 BCE, Rome reasserted control. General Sulla defeated Mithridates and marched his legions back into the province. Sulla chose not to destroy the city physically. He decided to secure Roman dominance by returning to the original source of the friction, the city's wealth. Sulla imposed a staggering indemnity of 20,000 talents of silver on the region. This sum was designed to be impossible to pay through standard means. On top of this, he demanded the immediate payment of 5 years of back taxes. The combined burden was several times the total annual output of the entire province. This debt achieved a level of submission that a physical sacking could not. It ensured that the elite of Ephesus would be preoccupied with Roman financial management for generations to come. The decade following Sulla's return was a period of profound impoverishment. Ephesus was stripped of its former glory, its capital markets were shattered, and its population remained under a heavy economic yoke. The Asiatic Vespers failed to provide the liberation the Ephesians sought. Instead, it triggered a response that locked the city into a permanent state of Roman subjugation. The citizens of Ephesus had reached their breaking point and chose a single day of bloody vengeance, only to find themselves trapped under a catastrophic economic burden far heavier than the taxes that started the cycle.